236. A local mob in New York City cheered as a criminal chokeholded an NYPD officer. 237. Burnell Tremmell was murdered by Marxists in Milwaukee in July 2020 for his outspoken beliefs in freedom, justice, and racial equality. 238. Dozens of violent BLM punks were arrested on various assault charges after they threw eggs at New York police officers, burned an American flag and a Blue Lives Matter t-shirt, and assaulted a Trump supporter at a pro-NYPD rally. 239. A number of officers were also viciously assaulted by the rioters but were prevented from taking action against the punks thanks to corrupt New York City Democrat Mayor Bill de Blasio, who is on record as openly siding with the anti-police punks while intentionally handicapping the NYPD to prevent them from taking more direct action against the hoodlums. In response, members of the NYPD's largest police union have declared that they vowed to take back the city from the rioters and other criminals and directly blamed de Blasio, as well as New York Democrat Governor Andrew Cuomo, for the current state of affairs in the city, pointing out that de Blasio illegally released thousands of criminals from jail under the ruse of preventing the spread of COVID-19 while cutting NYPD resources. 240. Violent BLM rioter Dondra Fitzpatrick was arrested for assaulting two city employees in St. Louis with the butt of a rifle in an unprovoked attack in the early morning hours as the employees were towing illegally parked cars. 241. Damier Palmer was arrested and charged with felony assault and misdemeanor retail fraud after he was caught on video committing an unprovoked and racist assault on a Macy's store manager in Flint, Michigan. 242. Palmer and his brother, Damer Key Palmer, who are both black, falsely claimed that the manager used racial slurs against the attacker, but Flint police, after examining the video, determined that there was no evidence to back the Palmers' false claims. If convicted on the charges, Damier Palmer may face 10 years in prison for the assault. Antifa, thanks to the continued illegal aiding, abetting, and enabling of anti-police Portland Democrat Mayor Ted Wheeler, continues its reign of terror in Portland as its rioters continue to vandalize and burn parts of the city and viciously assault police and residents. 243. A female Antifa punk made a profane threat toward one Portland police officer, screaming she hoped that someone killed his family and that someone burned his precinct down with all its officers inside, while other rioters mobilized dumpsters to use against the officers and illegally blocked traffic and committed acts of vandalism, arson, and assault throughout the downtown area. In addition, the hoodlums also made use of large rocks, paintball guns, mortars and dangerous fireworks as illegal weapons against police and the public. Rioters barricaded federal officers inside the Hatfield Federal Courthouse, trapping officers inside. A commercial-grade mortar firework was launched by rioters. A federal agent's hand was impaled by planted nails. Another federal agent was shot with a pellet gun, leaving a wound deep to the bone. 3 federal officers were permanently blinded by the rioters using lasers pointed directly at their eyes. 244. Mayor Wheeler, who joined the protests and was tear-gassed by federal agents. 245. Later suffered the wrath of the mob, was cursed at and called a fascist by the very group of leftists he represents. 246. With the refusal of Wheeler, Oregon Democrat Governor Kate Brown and the Portland Police Department's upper brass to do anything to stop the rioters, the Department of Homeland Security was forced to act as they moved to stop the punks' rampage and made numerous arrests, causing leading anarchy-supporting Oregon Democrats, including Brown, Wheeler, Senator Jeff Merkley and U.S. House candidate Earl Blumenauer, to flip out and blame President Trump for the violence instead of themselves and the punks they support. 247. White BLM supporter Michael Nieberry was arrested and held on $100,000 bail for felony assault and other pending charges when he belligerently threatened to kill everyone aboard an Alaskan Airlines flight, which was forced to make an emergency return to its point of origin, Seattle, unless they said that Jesus Christ, who was ethnically Jewish, was black. Before Berry was taken down and stopped by 2 of the passengers, one of which is a Chicago police officer. 248. A masked Antifa punk ended up paying the price for his stupidity when, after he opened the door of a driver's car, presumably with the intent of pulling the driver out and assaulting him, the driver, who is black, intercepted and body slammed the young punk, then told him off while the punk's Antifa comrades cowardly backed off, before getting back in his car. 249. Subsequent to getting humiliated by the driver, the punk and several of his fellow rioters called on other Antifa rioters to swarm the car and illegally docks the driver over a specious claim that the car had arrows inside it. Dozens of Antifa and Black Lives Matter rioters attempted to pull down a statue of Christopher Columbus at Grant Park in Chicago and viciously attacked police officers who attempted to defend the statue by using various projectiles and fireworks against the officers, but the rioters soon paid for their criminal actions when police reinforcements arrived and, with that backup, the police turned the tables and beat down the punks with batons and pepper sprayed them. 250 Several of the hoodlums were arrested while the other punks, showing themselves as the cowardly crybabies they are, ran away when the tide turned against them. In the month of July 2020 alone there were 105 homicides in Chicago compared to 44 the previous July. 251. No less than a dozen police officers were injured after Antifa and BLM smashed windows of businesses in Seattle, attacked reporters covering the riot, and engaged in arson. 252 Several of the rioters were arrested and the Seattle Police Department condemned the punks' actions as criminal acts, not peaceful protests. Coleman Lamb, the brother of Democrat U.S. Representative Conor Lamb, called for the latter's 2020 Republicans' opponent Sean Parnell to burn in hell and die via a retweet of a childish call to do so by another Twitter poster against an opponent. 253. A Black Lives Matter protester kneels on a 2-year-old white child's neck. 254. Conservative pundit Michelle Malkin was attacked by violent Antifa and BLM thugs as those groups charged the stage at a Back the Blue rally in Denver, Colorado while, ironically, local police, acting under orders of their pro-BLM chief Paul Pazin, acted in dereliction of their duty by refusing to protect Malkin or the rally attendees. 255 The anti-police punks, who outnumbered the pro-police side, attempted to overwhelm the rally and acted in their typically childish fashion to drown out and silence the pro-police message while also assaulting rallygoers and police officers, leading Malkin to call out Pazin and Colorado Democrat Governor Jared Polis for their allowance of anarchy and lawlessness by the punks, then to tweet an SOS to President Trump to intervene with federal agents to restore law and order in Denver. Rioters in Portland paid the price of getting tear-gassed after lighting buildings on fire and looting businesses. 256. The home of Oakland's Democrat Mayor Libby Schaaf was vandalized with far-left slogans, including the usual free stuff and defund police demands, and shot at with illegal fireworks by a gang of Antifa punks during the early morning hours. 257. Antifa and BLM thugs in Seattle continued to vandalize stores and viciously attack law enforcement officers with dangerous fireworks. 258. Extremely malicious BLM thug Isaiah Jackson kneeled on the neck of a 2-year-old white baby while another held down his arms. The outraged paternal grandmother of the child later shared that he was safe with her son. 259 The local sheriff later confirmed that charges will be filed against the thug. 260 A Georgia special education teacher publicly told Jackson to lean into it until death. 261. A white Antifa racist, Blake David Hamp, stabbed a homosexual black Trump supporter. 262 Hamp, a left-wing racist, homophobe, and beta male, previously was convicted of child pornography. 263 The Antifa white supremacist stalked and menaced the black man for several blocks before the stabbing. The victim believes that Antifa fascists illegally doxed his identity and posted his location on social media before he was stabbed. As similar to the savage atrocities committed by barbarians centuries ago, rioters who stormed neighborhoods in Springfield, Oregon threatened to rape the female residents of the area. 264 Though they were quickly chased out. August 2020. Officer Joseph Mensah. See also, Democrat urban issues. Far-left Antifa rioters in Portland, Oregon vandalized buildings and burned Bibles and American flags while mindlessly screaming anti-Trump slurs. 265.